Hi everyone. I know some people are still struggling a bit to get the rotations down, so I'm putting together a quick little video here, and what I'm going to do is just go through two examples of rotations with your compass and protractor. One of them I'll do is a counterclockwise rotation, and the other one will be clockwise, so hopefully being able to see this again and refer back to it will help you as you go through your homework. So the two examples I'm going to do are actually from the homework. I'm going to do the two problems that are on page 24. So if you want to kind of follow along or try this with me, it's on page 24, and I'll start with the first one. So what we have here is a 55-degree rotation, and we're going counterclockwise about point A. So sometimes I find it helps to circle that center of rotation. So what I'm going to do first is just circle point A, because that's going to kind of help me anchor what's going on here. So I'm rotating about point A, and I'm going counterclockwise. So the first thing I'm going to do is rotate point B. And so I know if I'm going counterclockwise that ultimately point B should be going this direction. So the first thing we do, and we actually don't really need to do this step here, but the first thing we would do is connect the center of rotation, which happens to be on the figure, with that vertex. So I would draw in that segment, which again is already there. Now again, I know point B has to go counterclockwise, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to line up my protractor so that the round part is facing this direction. So remember that center of rotation is going to go in the center of your protractor here, and I'm going to line this here up with the side that I drew in. Okay, and now again, I know that I'm rotating counterclockwise, so this ray is pointing towards 0 here, so I'm going to count along the outside here till I get to 55. And I'm going to make a mark up here at 55. So now that I have that, this is going to connect back to my center. I'm always going back to that center of rotation, and I'm going to connect up the mark I just made with A. And I know that point B is going to lie somewhere along this ray. So here's where we're going to use our compass. I put the point of the compass on point A, and I measure the distance to B. Whoops. If my compass would cooperate. Give me 1 second to adjust this. Had a bit of a malfunction there. Okay, let's go back here. So again, point goes on A. I'm going to open it to point B. Now I'm going to keep that setting and mark a little arc on this ray. And where that intersection is, I know is my point B prime. And so I do a quick double check. B was here, going this direction is counterclockwise, so I know I've done it the correct direction. So now I'm going to grab a different color, and now I have to rotate point C. So again, normally we would go from the center to that point. We would draw in that segment. And now again, point C should travel this direction. So that tells me that the rounded part of my compass protractor should face up. The center of rotation is in the center here, and this side is lined up with that side. Now this ray is pointing to 0, and I'm going to count up in a counterclockwise direction. Now here is 0 on the inside this time, so I'm counting up along the inside until I get to 55 degrees, which is about right here. So now again, I'm going to take that, connect it back to the center of rotation, and we're almost done with this one. So now, go back to my compass. Point goes on the center of rotation. The pencil point goes on point C. Keep that setting, and I make an arc here, and that's going to locate the image of C, which is C prime. And now in this example, since A, the center of rotation, is on the figure, it's going to be its own image point. So now we can go ahead and connect up our image points. If I can get this here. There we go. And there we have our rotated figure. And so I'm just going to shade that in. There's my image figure under that counterclockwise rotation of 55 degrees. So now we'll go ahead and do number 4. This time we have a clockwise rotation. Our other difference is this time I'm rotating about point P, and this time point P is not on the figure. So those segments that we didn't really have to draw before, now we will. So I'm going to start with point D. So I know the first thing I'm going to do is connect the center of rotation to that vertex, D. And now I'm going clockwise, so I know D should travel this direction. So I'm going to place my protractor with the rounded part facing down. So that again, my center of rotation is in the center here. I'm lined up with the side. I'm pointing to 0. And now I'm going to count up, which in my case is the inside. I'm counting up from 0 to 130. So I locate my point over here. Now I'm going to connect that point back to the center of rotation. There I have my angle. And again, here's where we just use our compass to measure the distance from P. Let's see if I can do it here, if you can see that better. From P to D. And again, I'm going to make an arc here, and that'll tell me where my point D prime is located. And now we're just following those exact same steps for the other points. So we'll do C next. I'm going to go back to that center of rotation and connect to the vertex C. Okay, again, I know C should be traveling this direction, so I'm going to make sure I have the center of rotation in my center here. My compass is facing down, so this ray pointing to 0, I'm going to go ahead again and count up to 130, which is going to have this point out here. Now I go back to that point I circled, my center of rotation. So now I've measured the angle, and now we just need to measure the distance. Okay, whoops, and it looks like I actually didn't make that segment long enough, so I'm going to just extend this. Okay, and so there is my point C prime. I've got 2 more to go, and I'm not going to talk through these, but you can kind of follow along with what I'm doing since it's the same steps. All right, 1 more point to go. I guess I'll use orange for this one. Okay, so now I've rotated the individual points, so all that's left to do is to connect them up to get that rotated figure. Okay, and then if I shade that in, there is my rotated figure. So hopefully just seeing this again, oops, it's actually above this line as well. Hopefully seeing it again makes the process a little more clear. We'll have time in class tomorrow where you'll be reviewing for the quiz, and so you'll have time to review these. But please, if you're still struggling, make sure you get into the MRC or to see your teacher for extra help. So hope this helps. Good luck with these rotations.